And now, stand up and make some noise for your Meet Dave podcast.
Thank you guys so much for letting us tell some jokes and get back into it. Please welcome, joining me, Travis Heim, everybody. Here you go, buddy. Come up here.
Thank you, Dave.
Yeah, you got it. Is that working? Is it on?
Yeah. Test.
Cool. All right, let's both stand in the light here.
Hello. Thanks for coming.
This is Travis's joint. Did you guys like the barbecue?
Love it. Yeah.
So the first, we're going to talk and just tell stories, or I'm going to ask questions or whatever. But at any point, this is very interactive, all right? So if you guys have something you want to ask, either raise your hand or shout it out or whatever, okay? Cool? So the first thing I want to ask you about, though, is, and I've heard multiple people bring it up since I've been here for a few hours, that you guys are famous for your bacon burnt ends.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we started, so it's kind of a long story, but the start of it is we just did parties in our backyard and friends' backyards. And I had a smoker that I got from my uncle in East Texas, and we did I guess what you would call now a pop-up, but it wasn't like that well thought out at the time.
Yeah.
And we did the first iteration of bacon burn ends, and we had this whole menu, and it was like 6 courses and all this stuff, and the bacon burn ends were like the first course, and that was all anyone ate. So we had like all of the food left over, and we were like, well, this might be good if we ever get to open a restaurant or do anything, and people seem to like them.
So what's the difference between a pork belly burnt end or bacon burnt end? Is it same thing basically, is what you're saying?
It's basically the same thing. There's some technique stuff that we do that's a little bit
secrets.
Yeah. Secret stuff that we can't talk about.
It's funny, I've learned this now. I've interviewed a lot of barbecue people, and the thing now is everyone says, hey man, there's no secrets, like we all share knowledge, it's all
bullshit.
about the barbecue culture. And then you start pushing a little bit and they're like, hey, you can't really.
We've done like 3 or 4 TV shows, and I think every time I've like cooked them differently on the shows. We cooked
Whoa, that's dirty, bro. So you're pretending like you're okay giving away secrets, but you're giving away the wrong secrets. You're like, this is where we take dog shit, and then other restaurants are like, we're stealing that. Apparently it works, right?
This guy puts dog shit on everything.
I take trimmings from my beard. You're just getting health code violations all across Texas. But your secrets are safe. Yeah. That's cool, man. How long has this place been up? This is your 3rd location.
Yeah. We've been here, what, a year and a half or so? About a year and a half. It was an old VFW building, and it was like 70 years of cigarette smoke and asbestos, and it was a disaster. Yeah. But it worked out now, you know. It's like, it's been really cool lately. We have a spot in Dallas, too, and you know, I don't know what I'm doing.
Clearly you don't know what you're doing. This place is awesome, bro. What are you talking about? You're crushing it. So I want to talk a little bit. This is a t-shirt from Heim Barbecue that I'm wearing. It's a squeegee broom, and it says, come and take it. And the backstory behind it is, I'll tell the story from my perspective, and you fill in the gaps, okay? So I'm scrolling Instagram, and I see a security footage, and I go, what is this? Apparently, a couple burglars, probably down on their luck from the pandemic, right, decided that they're going to start some heists and rob safes from a barbecue restaurant. Which location was it?
That was in Dallas, yeah.
The Dallas location. Yeah. So, which is your newest location, right?
Yeah, it had been open like 3 months or something.
So 3 months, you're just getting your footing, and then some guys, you haven't had the security system installed yet, apparently. Still fresh. And these guys come in and try to rip a safe out, which I don't care how much you plan, a safe is not easy to remove, right? So there's these 2 dudes in the shot, and they're both trying to pull the safe before the cops come and catch them, right? There's no audio. You just see these guys both trying to get the safe out. And as they're doing it, this broom is up against the wall. And it's just like, it looked like the broom was trying to stop them. It was like hitting him, and he's like pushing it back, and the broom kept attacking him, right? And the guy and it just happened over and over again. It really looked like the broom was like, I'll stop him, Travis. Like the broom's like telling them up, call Travis, I'm gonna try to hold him off, right? And then this dum-dum, you think that after a while, he'd like take it and just chuck the broom. He just kept pushing it up. Like all of a sudden the broom was gonna say, this time I'll stay up, right? But no, the broom just kept going like, villains, quit it, right? And so you guys, even though you were like upset, they got away with the safe, right?
Yeah.
Was there I mean, you don't have to give away secrets again. Was the bacon burnt end recipe in the safe?
No, that
Just
wasn't
cash?
in there. Just money.
Money.
Just things that we need to stay in business.
Some would say that the bacon burnt ends are money, Travis.
Yeah,
right?
thank you. Yeah.
So they stole your safe, but the broom tried its hardest. And to a testament to comedy, in a very dark morning, you got a giggle out of watching. And then you called your wife and showed it to her and said, is this funny?
Yeah. I think somebody, Wesley or somebody, like text me and what happened. And so I had a cup of coffee, and then I'm just sulking in my office at home, sitting there like, what the fuck, and trying to figure out, like, oh, this guy's wearing red shoes. Maybe I know someone with red shoes.
I'll see him at Walmart later.
And so we get to the back, and as Dave's describing, there's a squeegee against the back door. There's also in the video an alarm panel that didn't seem to make any difference. But the squeegee, and then it's like these guys, and like their pants are falling down, and then hits it, and then it's like just 3 or 4 times, and so I literally started tearing up laughing, and then I messaged my wife because I have a weird sense of humor anyway, and I was like, is this as funny as I think it is? It's just like, whatever. And so, I don't know. We got a new safe, and it worked out, but it's just, you're like, come on, this is ridiculous. So then we made the T-shirts, and you and a bunch of other people bought them, so that was awesome. But,
the community supported you and bought the T-shirts to help you raise some cash, and they came out, and you guys had like your best days like ever in those following days. People trying to come support, right?
Yeah, we had opened in Paul was there, which was awesome, but in when we opened, it was 50% occupancy, and we're like, man, we're opening next to an airport. This is a fucking great idea. And then COVID and everything else. And so it's kind of slow. And then, then that became a whole thing, and a bunch of people shared it. And people were like, oh, we didn't even know you had a restaurant in Dallas. So it's like the
buzz
being stolen was like the best thing that happened over there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much money was taken, but you could just write that off as it was marketing expenses, that money. Did you give that didn't cheer him up at all. He was like, it was a lot of money. Gold bricks. Did you give the squeegee a promotion?
We did, yeah.
The squeegee is now the manager of that store. The mayor gave it a medal.
Somebody said we need to put it over like the mantle. Like
you do, dude.
The cashier stand, just put it.
Or a glass case with a cape around it or something. Like, did you walk in and look at the broom like, where were you? He can't do it alone. If all the cleaning utensils had gone in, it's teamwork.
Could have worked out.
That's great, man. Well, I think it's always good to get a laugh, and it's cool that that nobody was hurt, obviously. But other than the guy who probably had a headache the next day. But I think the coolest takeaway from that is that the community rallied around you and really was into supporting you, which is what the barbecue community is all about, dude. Barbecue, I mean, if those guys robbed a pizza store, people are probably going to be like, oh, get a better safe, bro. But barbecue, I think people really appreciate what you bring to the community and what it takes to run a barbecue restaurant, It's, we stopped on the way here, right? Me and Garen and Autumn are driving, and we had to stop to get gas. And the only thing off this exit in the middle of that stretch of Texas where there's nothing, so basically 70% of Texas, right? We pull off to get gas, and there's a gas station and a building that looked like it may or may not be open, right? Like, it's kind of like a dilapidated building, sort of. And it says, West Texas Barbecue, best barbecue, whatever, right? So I'm like, well, we got to check it out. And we go in and check it out, and there's this family that just bought the place, a husband and wife. They just bought it. It was a taco shop before, and it was a barbecue restaurant years before that. So the guy took these old smokers from the back, and he's restoring them, and he's using them, and he's taking a lot of pride in kind of opening this place and doing it well and everything. And it's just, you could tell that, like, hey man, no one would ever do that with there's a reason why the taco stand didn't work there, but the barbecue is, and he's building a you know, building a fan base there, because this dude hadn't slept in, I'm guessing 4 months since he opened the place. He had glasses that were broken, like you only had the one ear thing, and it's not like he just didn't have time to run the lens class for this week. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I go, man, how long have your glasses been broken? He goes, 8 months. And I was like, man, you're a pit master. And I was like, I haven't slept in 3 weeks, like, you know. But he's out there himself. You can't just, like, yeah, you know what I'm saying about barbecue? Like, you have to be invested.
Yeah, absolutely. We have, on the sleep thing, we have a 4-month-old, and I feel like the years of barbecue have prepared me for this.
Yeah.
No sleep, she's awake all the time. Like, yeah, this is nothing.
Yeah, when you have a baby and you're like, now I can get some sleep. Like, you know, that's a good way to wrap up barbecue for sure. That's great, brother. What else do we need to know about opening a barbecue restaurant in a region where there's a ton of competition? That's like going to LA and starting stand-up in LA when it's like the bar is like really high, you know?
Yeah. It was different, I guess, for us, because when we opened a food truck 6 years ago, does that sound right? And there was a lot of older places, you know, like Fort Worth history. There's Risky's, Angelo's. I forget the place downtown, but some of the oldest barbecue places in Texas have been in Fort Worth. So you had a ton of history, but I learned from guys like John Lewis, Aaron Franklin, and kind of the newer Austin sort of barbecue thing, and there was no one really doing that style. And so foolishly we opened a food truck with like $100 in our bank account, my wife and I, and just kind of went for it. And so I think at that time it was a little like there's been like 20 places that have opened, you know, since we opened, and so the competition is like Austin or Houston. But I think it's cool because everybody kind of has their niche, and a lot of guys, you know, you're big into barbecue and Texas barbecue. Well, there's like Mexican influence, and there's kind of like East Texas style is a little different, South Texas is a little different. So everybody kind of does their own thing, and you know, it's fun. We've really enjoyed it. Now we're to 3 locations, about to open a 4th, and it's been fun so far. We have a great, you know, staff that really works hard, and you know, I can get a little sleep.
So I think that has like positives and negatives, right? So if you open a barbecue, a true barbecue, I'm not talking about like you know, chain barbecue where you slather it with sauce so no one knows whether it's good, right? Like if you're gonna do barbecue right, and you open it somewhere like here, sure, there's a lot of competition, but the region and the consumer understands that, hey, there's going to be lines, hey, you're going to run out of things. Like they're conditioned to understand and appreciate that you're doing it well, right? Whereas if you open a real barbecue place in a city that's not used to having real barbecue, they're writing Yelp reviews like, I had to wait an hour. Yeah, that's the way it is, real barbecue. It means it's good. Like, just deal with it, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so there's kind of like a little bit of both.
We talked to the Moose Craft Barbecue in LA.
Oh, yeah.
Those guys, and I know they've kind of dealt with that a little bit of, you know, the Franklin thing, and a lot of the Austin, you're standing in line for 3 hours.
Yeah.
You know, you take that outside of Texas and people are like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, they're like, the brisket was too expensive. Well, it sold out at 1 o'clock, so it must have been supply and demand, lady, right? All right, do you guys have any questions or anything you want to chime in with out there? Sarah, I'm looking at you.
Thanks for coming.
Right.
I went to the meat church class
Yeah.
about a couple weeks ago, and Matt Pittman said that he had actually talked to you a while ago about starting up a restaurant with y'all, and then he got too busy with finances and decided he wouldn't go for it.
Yeah.
That feels like something you shouldn't have said in public.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely fine. And then
he was talking about Matt Pittman from Meat Church, and that he met him, and that you know, that they had a conversation about maybe having a business. I'm just repeating it for the cameras because he's not mic'd.
Yeah. So Wesley, our director of ops, he knows Matt real well. I've known Matt forever, and I'm surprised he had time not catering for Luke Bryan to talk to you. But that's in a nutshell basically what happened. We opened the food truck February of 2015, I think so. Was that 6 years? Yeah. And before that, I had known Matt through kind of a mutual friend. And I want to say that was before he was even on Pitmasters, and he was doing the finance stuff and all that. And but he really liked barbecue, and we had talked to, I had talked to him, and it was kind of at that point I was like working a security job, and it was like, this is the worst. It's just like,
You were the squeegee.
yeah, basically. I was the squeegee for a $1 billion oil company, but so it was kind of funny. And then we called it T&E Meat Club, and like I said, it wasn't as thought out as a pop-up. Now pop-ups are like all the rage, but I basically got a smoker from my uncle, and then it was kind of like, you can't really cook for like 2 people with this. It's like I'm burning a half a quart of wood, to cook a brisket. And so we were doing these parties and all this stuff. And then I was like, I want to open a food truck and all this shit. And then I had met Matt, and then I think we went to Rodeo Goat in town, and we had talked about that. And he had talked about wanting to do barbecue, but it wasn't, I don't even think he had done the rubs yet or something. And then, I saw him this last weekend when we were in Tyler. Was that last weekend, 2 weeks ago? And like I said, he catered for Miranda Lambert and all this shit. It's like, Matt's doing fine now. It's like our paths both, kind of worked out for the better, I think.
Well, Miranda Lambert and Luke Bryan, blah, blah, blah. They don't have the 14-foot Meat Dave of the Meat Dave podcast trailer in their parking lot right now, buddy, all right?
But I love Matt, and he's got great rubs too.
He does.
Good stuff.
So speaking of which, buddy, I got my own rub now, dude. I've joined the game.
Awesome.
So this is the story behind my rub, all right? How many different rubs do you guys use on your recipes here?
We have 3 or 4.
So like something for pork, something for beef, something for chicken.
Yeah, turkey, that we kind of use for other stuff.
Chicken wings were insane, by the way. You guys only have them on Wednesday. And I got lucky enough to be here today and got some of those chicken wings. They were incredible. First of all, those little baby chickens are definitely on steroids. Those are some beefy wings.
Sure. We get the most loaded up steroids ones we can find.
Nice. Look forward.
Extra GMO. Whatever.
Look forward to those side effects. They were delicious. And then for being smoked wings, they're really crispy. So you guys must finish them in the fryer or something.
Yeah. So I will tell you the secrets to that. Are we
recording?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Good. Is my mic okay? We brine them overnight, and every just to be clear, Wesley Series, our director of ops, everyone hates me. I try to do everything the hard way, right? Where it's like, how many steps can we put into this process?
Kind of like how you guys had me set up in a really nice room inside, and I'm like, let's do it outside in the wind and put a sail up.
We take the wings, and then we brine them in like a special concoction overnight. Then we smoke them in the smokers, and then they have to chill them. And then whenever you come in and order them, then we put them in the fryer. So it's like, the goal is they're brined, and kind of you get a little bit of acid, sort of, you get a little smoke, and then they're crispy at the end.
Nice.
It's way too much labor to go into whatever $10 order of chicken wings. We're losing money on them, is what I'm telling you, Dave.
That's why they're once a week.
Please don't order them.
2 dozen wings, please. Oh, man. I really do want more, but I feel bad now. Oh. So I feel I try to be very careful. I have so much respect for pitmasters. Like, I get to work with celebrities and be around celebrities and comics and stuff all the time for my job, and I don't get like starstruck very easy, Like, I see people as humans and whatever. But pitmasters have become my heroes, because since I've gotten into it, I really respect the commitment, the sacrifice, what it takes to do it at a high level, and how people who don't know don't realize what goes into it. I just respect it a lot, right? So, I feel very careful not to call myself like an expert. On the podcast, I say it over and over again, like, I'm not an expert, I'm an enthusiast. I know that I'm pretty good at making barbecue compared to the normal dude, right? But, I just try to walk that line, right, out of respect. So I would never be like, I'm an expert. Get my rub. It's the best, right? But so many people message me and are like, do you have a rub I could buy? And I'm like, I'm leaving money on the table, right? Like, not only that, but some people just don't, like, I'll gladly tell you what I do for my rubs, right? And some people don't care. They don't want to make it themselves. They want to, you know, buy it and make it easy. And they're excited to have something that's exactly like what you use, so it's kind of a connection and everything. So, but this came because touring with Bert on the tour bus, I can't bring, Sarah was talking about she has a cabinet full of rubs, as do I, and I can't bring them on the bus and mix and match. So I'm mad scientist. All my rubs are like 70 to 80% kosher salt, coarse pepper, right? And then, you know, 20 to 30% other stuff. Sometimes I'll just take another rub someone sent me, and I'm like, I like this rub. It's a little spicy. I'm just going to put a little in to cut it, but that's all I want of it, right? So I just mad scientist stuff together. But when I go on the tour bus, I can't bring like 20 rubs with me, and depending on what I'm feeling like that day, like mad scientists together. So I make like one big jug of rub that I think will work well for everything, and I'm telling you, I use it on I put it on, like, if we get $200 worth of McDonald's for dinner one night, because Bert goes, here's $200, someone go get McDonald's, right? Or I make a brisket and I need something to make like bark, or we eat a salad because we're all dying one day and I want to put salt and pepper on it. I use the same thing for everything. So that's what I try to do, is make an all-purpose rub that I could use for all that stuff, right? So this is the first day. I just got it in the mail. I had it mailed here, all right? So I'm going to sell these after the show. It's the first time I've ever sold them. And here's kind of a funny story, too. Do you see the picture on the front?
Yeah.
So a guy I know who I hired to do the graphic design came up with a backdrop. I love it. It's awesome. It's the motif I was looking for. I wanted a little Miami vibe, right? And then he found an old headshot of me. He's like, I really like this. I want to use this. You're holding a beer. I'll put a microphone in your other hand, so it's like on theme. I'm like, cool. And then he made the Hawaiian shirt, and he put a lot of effort in the Hawaiian shirt. So I was like, all right, man, I like it. And then he took a head from another photo and put it on there, and it's fine. But what it looks like to me is in the original photo I'm slumped. In the photo he photoshopped, I'm like this. So the two together just looks like I'm like in a wheelchair like this, kind of like, get my rub. But we rolled with it. And so I'm probably gonna put one of the recent photos I got. So this is a limited run label, is what I'm saying. Okay, this is like, you're gonna. I don't know. Maybe I'll end up really liking it and keeping it. But all right. Anything else for Travis, guys? Or are we gonna go have beers now and hang out for a little while? You got one, Hunter? No. Oh, you like the beer thing? That's how you're saying. Hunter's also a DUI lawyer, by the way. So he's like, everybody drink up. Business is slow, guys. All right. That's it. You got one?
Yeah, I got you. I guess back in the day, through college, I put myself a restaurant and everything. We get bored and we just try to make something up. I guess as a barbecue joint, what's something you tried? You're like, no, we're not putting that on the menu. It's not going to work
like a failed experiment. What's a failed experiment that your kitchen has come up with?
That's a great question.
It probably doesn't reach your ranks. They're probably like, do not let Travis see this.
I'm sure there's examples. I think, and our staff could probably testify to this. I'm very controlling, I think, with what goes on our menu. Yeah. So I don't know if I've ever had that issue necessarily. I think, we've tried different specials and stuff, and sometimes, I hate our coleslaw. Can I say that? I want to be honest.
Man,
I've said
you broke him, Terrence. You broke him.
I think our coleslaw sucks.
He was really trying to be polite, and then he couldn't hold it in anymore.
Luckily, my wife's not here, but
is it her recipe?
I don't think so. Maybe my mom's recipe, but a lot of people like it, and they say, we had a comment this weekend, somebody that was like, all of the effort that we put into everything else, and they're like, this is the greatest coleslaw of all time, and I think it sucks. But that's maybe an example. But like there's, I want to say like 2 years ago, the Rangers opening day, Texas Rangers baseball, and we would always go, and we couldn't go because my wife and I at Magnolia were working, and we're working 80, 100 hours a week or whatever. So I go, Rangers opening day, I want a corn dog.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take our smoked sausages that we do.
Oh, I like where this is
in-house.
going.
And there's a local brewery, Wild Acre. They used to, or they still do a stout, real good stout. And I made a corn dog batter with the stout beer battered thing. And we're like, this is a special we're running, today only, just for the Rangers game. And I think we sold like 200.
Yeah,
it was
dude.
like the most stupid thing ever.
I want 50 right now.
Yeah. And so then long story long, whatever, we're at a bar a little bit later, and we're very successful, all this stuff. It's great. And this lady comes up to me and you're like, you're that Heim guy, right? And yes, ma'am. She was wasted. And yes, ma'am. And you guys have the best corn dogs in town. So then we now it's literally on the menu. and we do a kids version and we do all this other stuff. So that doesn't answer your question, but there's also been things where I thought this was a completely stupid idea, and then it turned into something that everyone enjoyed. So
awesome.
That's probably a better story, I guess.
Yeah, that's kind of like what I was saying earlier, where you could sit in front of the computer and go, okay, ideas, go, and it doesn't work. But when you're just living life, I feel like a corn dog because it's Rangers opening day. That's when the magic happens, dude. Absolutely. There's I don't know if this is normal or not, but I make a lot of comparisons and analogies between stand-up comedy and barbecue. Wait till I start mixing in water polo life lessons into it, where I'm like, guys, teamwork is important. A kitchen is like a team. That's all I do. All right, good question, Terrence. Anybody else got something? Questions? Does anyone else have any strong opinions about the coleslaw here? All right,
On
good
your side.
Good stuff, man. Hey, there.
Bestseller by volume, brisket probably. The thing we're known for is the bacon burn ends, like we talked about a little bit earlier, and the origin of that was really when we were doing, before we even did the pop-up thing, was can we do but brisket burn ends are a very Kansas City style thing where they basically take the fatty end of the brisket and cut it, cube it, sauce it, do all this stuff. And it's you kind of would get thrown out of Texas, if you did that here. And so my thought process was what if we did that with, a slab of bacon? And without a doubt, now there's places in Australia that are doing bacon burn-ins. There's places all over the world that are doing bacon burn-ins, pork belly burn-ins type of thing. And to think it was just a stupid idea that started in my backyard was kind of weird. But
that's
brisket,
awesome,
one of our things too is farm to smoker. You'll see it on the cups and stuff. And not to get too hippie, but we're very particular about how we source the meat. And so all the pork is pasture raised. The briskets we use certified Angus beef prime. And so at this point, well, this was maybe 6 months ago. Our meat guy, we did an event together, and he gave me a little note card. He was like, I just wanted you to see this. And at that point, we had surpassed over 1 million pounds of meat that we had purchased through them. And even before them, we used another company that sucked. But it was so I wanted to think brisket, is definitely our highest seller. And this doesn't answer your question really, but part of our thought process is, we want to be very mindful of the meat that we get. And I feel when you're doing 1 million pounds, it kind of shapes how everyone else buys, and that's been cool. And it's all just so expensive now. It's stupid.
So if Prince from another country walked in the front door, I'm trying to ask that in another way, walked in and you had one bite to make an impression on him, you could take one thing and be like, this is the bite, what would you present to him?
That's a great question.
Thank you.
I would say, and you'll see a lot of people do this, but we take a lot of pride in our mac and cheese.
Oh, that's an awesome answer.
I'm a big mac and cheese
I love that answer.
guy. And you'll see you can do a loaded, this is kind of a secret menu thing maybe, but you can do a loaded mac and cheese.
Yes.
So a fork that has mac and cheese with a burnt end on it. I'd say that's probably the
I know what I'm getting.
holy grail.
I feel so vindicated by that being your answer.
Okay.
Because I tell people ask me
The
all
coleslaw, Dave.
I've forgiven you for your coleslaw sins. No, people ask me all the time about, like, what's your favorite place in this city? What's your favorite place there? Blah, blah, blah. And a lot of times, like, this is my philosophy. If you ask me, like, especially in Texas, what's better, that barbecue place or that barbecue place? If you're comparing this brisket to that brisket, they're probably both incredible. They're probably both awesome. It's like a personal preference of which hairline you like better, this one or that one. But for me, what makes it an experience on a top of, if it's already got the proteins figured out, is like the sides. And my favorite side is mac and cheese. So if a place, people look at me like I'm crazy when I'm like, Killen's barbecue, because the mac and cheese is killer, like, you know, whatever. And people are like, no, I asked which barbecue place. I'm like, yeah, I'm telling you, that one because of the mac and cheese, like, you know, and the sauce, and the sweet tea. It's not just generic sweet tea, and for me, that all goes into the package, right? Yeah. And so for you to say that, man, you just made me look so smart. That's awesome. And by the way, I am a huge fan of mixing stuff with my mac and cheese. Nothing makes me happier than when I have leftovers from like a big cook I do, right? And then the next day, I have two moves. So if you have leftovers, obviously you just pigged out at barbecue the day before, right? Maybe it was a Sunday barbecue or whatever. Well, the next day, Monday, I come in the morning and I look in the fridge and I go, oh, leftovers. And I love making an omelet or scrambled egg with macaroni and cheese. I know it sounds weird, but it really complements like pork or whatever it is, and then eggs. And I mix it all together, and I put a little hot sauce and barbecue sauce, and I make like a little scramble with it, and I eat it. Awesome, right? 3 hours later, I go for lunch, and I'm like, what am I going to have for lunch? Oh, and I go mac and cheese, and I do the exact same thing, but just without eggs. It's the exact same thing without eggs. Like that was breakfast. This is lunch scramble, right? And then by dinner, I'm like, I guess I'll just heat the ribs up, you know? So that's very validating. Travis, man, thank you so much for having us here. Guys, please support. Do you have some rubs for sale too and merch?
Yeah. Do we? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a bottle shortage.
Guys,
China.
meatchurch.com. Just go ahead.
He's got enough business.
Support them.
He just bought a lake house, so he's doing fine.
He's cooking for Elvis Presley tomorrow. Lady Gaga's on her way over right now. So yeah, please support them. If you live in the area, which I think you guys all do, I don't think anyone came 3 hours to see me. So support them, come to their locations, buy their merch, and also as far as swag goes, they're way up there, dude. The hats, the sweatshirts, the limited edition "Come and Take Me" shirts. They got some really cool swag. So support them all you can. If you guys want to support me, you can, first and foremost, well, you already did it. You came out tonight. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. If you know people in other cities that I'm going to, please, this is like a super grassroots, organic like event that I'm doing, and I just can't wait to see how it grows over the next 2 months. And it means more than anything to me for you guys to, if you had enough fun tonight, if you told someone else to come out and enjoy it, and that way we can keep highlighting these awesome places and pit masters. And if you guys want some rub, I have some for sale. I also have my album, but no one really plays CDs or DVDs anymore, but I have them if you're into that kind of thing. And I think that's it, man. You got anything, any parting words, Travis?
No, thanks, Paul. Thanks, Dave. I really appreciate you. You shot me a message, and I was like, this is a great idea, like, regardless of how we set it up or whatever. So I thanks for everybody for coming out, because I'm a big comedy fan, and I didn't meet you when Bert was here, but we did food for everybody, and so...
Yeah, I met your food.
You had the food at least, which is more important than meeting me, let's be honest. But I do, best of luck on this. It's going to be awesome.
And I disagree with that statement, man, because I love barbecue, but the thing I love about barbecue the most is the people. For sure, hands down. Like I said, anyone who devotes themselves to a barbecue restaurant or the craft of barbecue is a fucking cool person in my mind. And I've had a lot of good barbecue, and the barbecue roast tonight was top notch. We went ham on it, right? But I'm sure at some point that night I thought, I wish I could have met the dude who dropped us off. And I mean that sincerely. So I'm glad we finally made it happen, man. Thanks for having us, guys. All right, hey, stick around and have some beers, and let's hang. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. A lot of fun. Yeah, thank you so much, bro.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Meet Dave podcast.